Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a first impression and review on the new Fenty Beauty foundation by Rihanna. I literally just got this in the mail today and I am filming a first impression. So if you guys are interested to see what I think about this foundation as well as how it applies and stuff like that, then please keep on watching. So like I said, I literally just received this foundation like 2 hours ago and I had to put it on my face to see how it looks. This is the foundation I have on right now and I'm just gonna say I absolutely love it. So before we get into like an application demo first impression thing, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the foundation and yeah. So when you get the foundation, it will come in a package box thing like this and it just looks like this. Oh, it's like the cutest, nicest packaging ever. So this is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filt'R Soft Matte Longwear Foundation and this retails for 145 ringgit in Sephora stores in Malaysia. What does it say? So this foundation is described as a soft matte longwear foundation. It is medium to full coverage for all. It's long wear and light as air. It rhymes. So it comes in a frosted glass bottle. It does have a white cap, which can get kind of annoying with foundation, but it's so pretty so it doesn't really matter. The lid just pops open like that with a little pump type thing. The consistency of the foundation is quite runny. I shouldn't have done that, that's such a waste of foundation. But since I did, here's the consistency of the foundation. It's really runny and it blends out really nicely. So this is the shade 310 when you first swatch it. Keep in mind that these do dry down to more of a darker shade. So whatever you see when you first swatch, it's going to be at least 1 to 2 shades darker than what it is on your first swatch. But I'm just going to say more things while I wait for that to set. So what's amazing is that there are 40 shades in this range, which is incredible, but I still couldn't find my exact match. I was somewhere between 310 and 330. So 330 was way too orange, but then 310 kind of set down to, like when I first applied it, it was really nice, really yellow, but then it kind of set down to more of a cooler tone and a little bit more like ashy, which I didn't like. On my hand swatch, that is. Having applied it on my entire face right now, I'm really happy with it and it doesn't look ashy or anything like that. It actually is a little bit more yellow toned, which I really like. So you can see now that it's set on my hand, it has gone a little bit ashier than when I first applied it. So that's kind of how it was when I first applied it. And once it sets after, this is just after a few minutes, it will get slightly darker after an hour. But yeah, that's the difference. It's a little bit more cooler and like ashier there as opposed to when you first watch it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend with these foundations to get color matched in store, swatch a couple on your hand, walk around, get something to eat, come back, then decide, because it definitely does dry down to a little bit darker, or a lot darker actually. So yeah, let's jump into the demo and first impression and then I'll let you guys know my overall impression at the end. So yeah, okay, I'm really excited to try this out. Let's start with priming my face like I usually would do. I think I want to try the little sample primer that came with it, the Pro Filt'R Instant Retouch Primer. Actually no, maybe I'll try that another time because it is a first impression. I want to like use the same products that I would usually use just to see how this foundation reacts with like my usual foundation routine. You know what I mean? I'll definitely try that sample at some stage because I've heard really good things about it. But for this first impression, I'm going to go ahead and use my usual primer, which is the Too Faced Hangover Primer. So I'm just going to go ahead and prime like I usually would. I'm really excited to try this out. So let's just have a look at the consistency. So you can see it running down my hand. So it is very liquidy. Color match so far when I first put it on is really nice. Like I really like that shade. I'm just gonna, because it is so liquidy, I'm just gonna drop it on half of my face like that. Like I usually do with first impressions, I'm gonna do half of my face with the beauty blender and the other half with a buffing brush. So I'm gonna do the beauty blender side first. Oh my gosh, I really like the finish of this. The coverage of this, it's definitely really good coverage considering I'm using a damp beauty blender. There's still a lot of coverage. So just bouncing it on my skin, it's already starting to set and it's definitely a matte finish as they describe it to be. It's just a really nice skin-light matte finish, like it's not completely powdery matte. Definitely really good coverage. I would say I put about one pump because I did dribble it all over my face, but I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more just to build it up and to see how it builds up to full coverage. But a little bit definitely goes a long way with this, seeing as I am using a damp beauty blender and there's still a lot of coverage. Usually foundations would kind of share out a little bit more at this point. I'm really happy with the color match as well, but I do know it's going to get a little bit darker. So this is how it's looking on the beauty blender side with the foundation compared to like my bare face. I really like the finish of this. I feel like the coverage is, it's definitely medium, and I feel like I could keep building it up, but I don't want to. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with my buffing brush. And I'm just going to buff that in. Okay. So I feel like because the brush is a lot drier than my damp beauty blender, it is harder to blend out the foundation. Like it's almost setting on my face before I can actually get to blending it, but it's definitely a lot more coverage. I feel like that one pump that I did is already as much as the 1.5 with the beauty blender, which again, because it's a dry brush, it's not sharing it out as much as the damp beauty blender, which makes sense. Yeah, it's a lot more matte using the dry brush than the damp beauty blender. For the foundation itself, it definitely sets very quickly, so I would recommend doing like half face at a time or just working really quickly. So that's how just the foundation is looking. It is a really nice amount of coverage. I would say it is medium to full coverage. It is a matte finish, but it isn't like a dry, powdery, tight matte. It still feels really nice, and like it described itself to be, it is pretty like lightweight. Yeah, so this is how the foundation is looking alone on my skin. I'm going to really quickly finish up the rest of my makeup and I will come right back and show you guys how it looks with everything set, concealer, bronzer, stuff like that. Okay, so I am back and this is how the foundation is looking with everything like on. I will say this is the first foundation in my entire life that I did not set with a translucent powder before bronzing and highlighting. I just felt like there was no need because of the finish. It was a really nice matte finish and it wasn't like a drying, like gross matte. It was a really nice, natural, non-tight matte, which is pretty much the ideal matte. But yeah, this is how it's looking close up. Honestly, I really like this foundation. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's probably one of my favorite foundations that I've actually put on my face. It hasn't settled into any of my fine lines, like my smile lines and my like nose area, which foundations usually do, but I mean it's only been like an hour. So far, first impressions, I'm really impressed. My face looks really smooth and airbrushed, even though it is kind of like, it's like pretty textured in this area, which like highlight has emphasized. Yeah, overall first impression, I'm really happy with the foundation. I'm happy with the shade as well. I'm really glad that I swatched it on my hand and waited a couple of hours before I decided on the shade, because it did oxidize a lot and there were no surprises when I put it on my face, you know? It is a really nice finish. I think it will last pretty well because it is matte, but I will keep you guys updated. Yeah, I'm really happy with the finish. I'm happy with the coverage. It is medium coverage, but it is very buildable. I feel like you could even build this up to like extremely full coverage if you used a brush. Even with like all my bronzer and highlight and blush and stuff, it doesn't feel heavy on my face. It feels really lightweight. I have quite normal to dry skin and it feels nice on my face. Like it does feel a little bit dry, like it doesn't feel moisturizing. If you have extremely dehydrated or like extremely dry skin, it might feel a little uncomfortable for you. But if you have oily skin, you would probably really like this. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that this was helpful or enjoyable, and I will see you guys next time.